Hello, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Wagner. This is the 7th week of school and the 7th week of videos. I hope you were able to finish your painting of your pumpkins. Let me show you. This was, pardon me, this was our pumpkins. Remember, we drew pictures from either real pumpkins that you had at your house for Halloween or for the fall holidays, or if you had a decoration like an artificial pumpkin, or even you had to look on week 6's assignment page or the module page, it showed you I had an example of pumpkins. I had some photographs of pumpkins that I posted on there in case you didn't have any artificial pumpkins or real pumpkins yet. So we drew the contour lines, which are the outlines of our pumpkin. We drew the ridges or the ribs, they actually are called, and we traced those with our dark crayons, and then we painted them in with warm colors. The pumpkin and the background got to be warm colors, and your table or the ground that they were on were cool colors. We also were to use another piece of paper and do the whole thing with warm colors so that we could practice this next skill. You could see I've got a lot of blue paint on myself. What I did first is I tried with a silk leaf. Now you can see some of it bled through on this one. Like once the silk leaf gets wet, it tends to hold the color and it bled through a little bit. That doesn't bother me because you can still see all the other colors through it, but it's a little bit of a pain. I did wash them in between and dried them with a paper towel. And they because they're a pretty firm fake leaf, it wasn't too bad. But because it is a fabric, the paint tends to bleed. And where I like hold my fingers to hold the leaf in place, that kind of makes you have more marks onto your paper. I did try it with a real leaf, so you don't really have to have fake leaves. This is a leaf I found at school. It's not very exciting. The shape isn't very exciting, but I can show you the process using this leaf, and you can see that a real leaf, because it's not made of silk or fabric, it really shows the details nice and it doesn't bleed through. So what I did was I laid the leaf down and I brushed from the leaf out just a little bit. I don't want to go too big because I can always fill in the space between the leaves later, like I have on the ones that you see that are painted already. So I just keep dabbing. This way you don't want to really have a ton of water. Normally I said when you're doing watercolors, it should be wet, that your little tray of colors should have a lot of water. Well, with this process, you probably don't want to have as much water. You don't want a big puddle in there. You want to just have it so that there's a little tiny bit of water in your watercolors. Now you can see there's no marks. I don't have any bleeding going through the leaf because it's real. What you will do between the leaves is you'll just finish. Now I'm going to have to add a little water because I finished. It's all dry in there now. You'll just paint between where you have the outline of one leaf to the outline of another leaf. I'm sure you have leaves at your house, or maybe a neighbor has a leaf. I chose little ones so I could get a few on my around my pumpkin. This was our practice page so that you get the hang of, brushing and holding the leaf in place and going around your hand, just kind of outlining it with paint, and then you fill in the spaces. So you get some nice cool colors in between your leaves, and then you see the background that showed through the leaves, and you see the warm and cool contrast. So I'm going to show you on my pumpkin, the pumpkin drawing. I will probably still continue to use the silk leaves just because I like the shape of it better than that other leaf. Maybe I could do one of this leaf on this side. I feel like I have to do one over there. I will try it there, just so I'm doing something different. I'm going to hold it nice and steady and very gently, not brushing too big of an area. And I don't want to brush on my pumpkin. Just a little bit of water, go across the edge. Now, I'm not worrying about the table because I will clean it. This is at school, it's our art table. So be careful when you're at home. Blue watercolor gets all over. This paint that's on my fingers will take a couple of days to wear out. Even with washing every day and scrubbing my hair and stuff, it's gonna take a few days. So be careful and try not to get it on your parents or the adult that you live with there, or you're doing your schoolwork with, get it on their furniture. Now, you saw I was very careful. I didn't paint around the part that overlapped my pumpkin, but I want to pick it up super careful, put it off to the side. Now I want to paint the space between the pumpkin, or I'm sorry, the leaves. And add a little more water. I need to paint in here because that's the part that's underneath the stem. And I'm not going to try to get a leaf shape in there. See, that shape's awfully boring. I kind of like this one. I'm sure you can find a leaf somewhere in your neighborhood that has a much better shape than that. So we're going to do it with the silk. I'm going to get close to the pumpkin. I'm going to even overlap part of the stem. I'll just have to be careful and not brush the blue paint onto the stem. So I'm going to start close to the stem, and then I'm going to go around. Do you see how it's bleeding into the leaf shape? Silk flowers were a good idea, but in theory, but in practicality, it sucks in and it holds the paint too much. I guess I should have ordered like plastic leaves, but I don't know do they make plastic leaves? It would certainly make it not bleed because the paint would just sit on top of the plastic, not soak into it. Live and learn, right? Even Mrs. Wagner, as old as I am, I'm still learning. So I'm going to very carefully pick it up. Oh, it wasn't too bad. It didn't bleed around too much. Good. Look at that. So now you see, here's my leaf. I don't want to paint anywhere in there. I want to paint just a little bit. Like I know I'm not going to try to get a leaf in here. So I can paint between these two leaves. If you want to add a little bit of purple, you could add a little purple, but the blue seems to be covering over the warm colors very good. But I'm not using a lot of water. Remember, I'm using a very minimal water this time so that the paint's a little bit drier so that it'll cover very well. I would probably do a couple more leaves. I could put one here, paint around it, put one down here. So if you see, I have a nice pattern. It looks like kind of like the night sky. The leaves are not painted inside them, so you see the background, which makes them look like fall leaves. And this is what I will have to put more leaves on here for the rest of the project. Please make sure that when you're done, when you're finished with this, you send me a photograph of your work. That's how I'm going to grade them. Thank you very much, boys and girls. Please enjoy yourselves and try to keep the mess down to a minimum. Thank you.